So, the studio behind the Conjuring Universe decided it would be a good idea to make a prequel to Annabelle. And to their credit, it was actually a really good movie. Okay, so The Conjuring took place in 1968 and 1971. Annabelle takes place in 1967, and the prequel to Annabelle, titled Annabelle Creation, takes place in 1943, over 2 decades before the first Conjuring film. So let's get to it. Annabelle Creation already gives us important details about the doll, just from its opening shots. Before we go any further, meet Samuel, Esther, and Annabelle Mullins, 3 vital characters to the overall plot of the film. Anyway, Samuel is a doll maker, and a good one at that. His dolls are so popular, they actually make quite a bit of dough, and the family is able to live off Samuel's earnings alone. From the opening shots, we get our first hints to an actual history behind the doll. Apparently, Samuel made 100 different Annabelle dolls. We learn that Annabelle has this little cute game she likes to play with her dad, where she would put notes around the house that would say "Find me" in crayon, just like in The Conjuring. Some plot later, whoops, Annabelle gets hit by a car. Well, that happened. Anyway, 12 years after Annabelle's passing, that's 1955 for everyone out there, the Mullins opened their doors for some orphans left homeless by the closing of a local orphanage. These 6 girls include Carol, Nancy, Kate, Tierney, Linda, and Janice, accompanied by Sister Charlotte. Linda being the most important out of the 6, only next to Janice, who unfortunately is crippled due to her contracting polio. After a brief house tour montage with happy music, because apparently the directors for this film forgot they were making a horror movie, Samuel not so subtly tells the girls to stay out of Annabelle's room. Despite having been told not to enter the supposedly locked room, Janice wakes up later that night, only to completely ignore what she was told. She wakes up to a noise, discovers a note saying "Find me," and sneaks into Annabelle's room, which has eerily become unlocked. Janice goes in, finds a key in a toy house, and proceeds to open a closet door in the room. Inside, she finds an Annabelle doll, and unwillingly releases a demon which begins to terrorize the girls in the coming days, and takes a particular interest to Janice, specifically because she is frail in comparison to the other girls. Plot happens, and we get a subtle nod to the demon Valak, but more on that later. It's time for the girls to go to bed, and on this second night, the demon reveals its true form to Janice. It declares it wants Janice's soul, and Janice tries to make a run for it. She tries to get away using the stair lift, but to no avail. The demon uses its force powers, and Janice is thrown into mid-air, falling with immense force from the 2nd to the 1st floor. She is promptly taken to a hospital, and Janice is now stuck in a wheelchair. The following day, everyone goes outside to play, but Janice is unfortunately left by her lonesome. Only to be pushed to a nearby shed, the demon, manifested as the spirit of Annabelle, starts to chase Janice. Janice is unable to escape, and the demon manages to possess her. Sometime later, Linda, Janice's best friend, begins to notice an odd change in behavior in Janice. Afraid, she admits to Samuel that Janice snuck into Annabelle's room and opened the closet where the doll resided. Not too long after, Samuel is left alone inside the house, where he finds a note written in red crayon, and the demon confronts him. Samuel tries to defend himself by holding onto a cross, his only source of protection. Even still, that is not enough to stop the demon. Using more of its force powers, it folds back every one of Samuel's fingers, forcing him to drop the cross, and proceeds to kill him. Sister Charlotte decides to keep the children in the house, because reasons. Okay, you know what? Let's pause for a second. If I were in her position, and I saw someone dead, like Samuel over here, I'm pretty sure I wouldn't stay in the house. But you know what? I'm probably overreacting, right? He probably just had some allergic reaction, right? Sister Charlotte goes to Esther, who is confined to her bedroom, to tell her about the bad news. Why is she confined in bed, you may be asking? Well, she tells us. It's from Esther we learn the truth about what really is going on. Esther confesses to Charlotte about the doll and the demon that is attached to it. Apparently, 12 years ago, after Annabelle died, the family decided to dabble in the black arts. Anything so that they could speak to their daughter yet again. One day, an unknown entity, who the Mullins presumed to be the spirit of their deceased daughter, convinced them to allow it to attach itself to one of the porcelain Annabelle dolls Samuel had created. They agreed, but their excitement and delight would soon turn into pure fear the moment they discovered they have attracted a demon looking for a human host. Esther even explains how she ended up disfigured and crippled. One encounter with the demon did not go as planned, and as Esther tried to fight it, it clawed at her and managed to gouge out one of her eyes in a single swoop. After that incident, Samuel locked the doll in the closet in Annabelle's room, and plastered pages of the Bible all along the wall. Charlotte, upon getting word of this, grows alarmed and wanting to get the girls to safety, decides she needs to get them out of the house. Soon after, the demon, now possessing Janice, manages to kill Esther and attacks Charlotte as she tries to help the girls get to safety. The possessed Janice pursues Linda, but before she can actually kill her, Sister Charlotte manages to rescue her by locking Janice into the closet alongside Annabelle. Everyone else manages to escape with their lives intact. The next day comes and, oh look, Deputy Dewey. Just kidding, it's just some generic looking cops. Anyway, the police find that Janice is no longer in the closet, but the doll still was, which was removed as evidence. Janice, now possessed and going by the name Annabelle, manages to make her way to an orphanage in Santa Monica. It is there she is adopted by the Higgins, the family who got brutally murdered from the first Annabelle film. Also, they just so happen to give her a Raggedy Ann doll, as a welcome gift to the family. Very cheeky there, David Sandberg. Jump 12 years later to 1967, and Annabelle is now part of a satanic cult, where she and her boyfriend murder her adoptive parents in their bedroom. This just so happens to catch the attention from the Higgins neighbors, the Forms, a scene that smoothly flows into the events of Annabelle. It's also at this point that I should point out that the doll from Annabelle Creation is a separate doll from the one in Annabelle and The Conjuring. To make it easy to follow, the doll from Annabelle Creation was the first doll that the demon latched onto. It managed to transfer itself over to Janice via possession, and this all took place in 1955. 12 years later, when Annabelle, really an adult Janice, kills her parents in a ritual and attempts to kill the Forms, she commits suicide, attaching the demon to Mia Form's Annabelle doll. And it is that very same doll that is in the Warrens' possession by the time of The Conjuring. Cut to the post-credits scene at the end of the film, and we get a teaser for The Nun that features Valak walking towards the camera in the candlelit halls of the Carta Monastery in 1952, as each candle slowly goes out.